The candle on my table was nearly burned down when I heard it again, that faint, dry rasp from the far corner of my room. At first, I thought it was the wind through the shutters. But there was no wind. Only the heavy stillness of the late summer night, and the occasional snap of wood cooling in the walls. I kept my eyes on the sewing in my lap. My needle trembled slightly, though the thread passed cleanly through the fabric. I had been here every night for weeks, mending shirts for the merchant's household. The same routine: candle, stool, silence. And yet, since the heatwave began, there had been that sound. It wasn't quite a breath. More like the soft dragging of cloth over stone, as if someone sat in the shadows, shifting very slowly. The corner where it came from was always dark. Even in daylight, it never seemed to brighten fully. It was where the old wardrobe had once stood, before it was hauled away. Behind it, the plaster was cracked, and the air smelled faintly of soot, though there was no chimney nearby. When the merchant's wife first gave me this room, she told me not to place my bed too close to that wall. Her voice was casual, but she didn't meet my eyes. I obeyed, though the reason was never given. And every night since, the stool on which I sat faced away from that corner. Yet still, I could feel it, the way one feels the sun through closed eyelids, or a presence in a doorway behind them. One evening, while folding the last of the laundry, I dropped the stocking near that corner. I didn't want to stoop for it, but to leave it there felt worse. So I reached down quickly, not looking, my fingers brushing the rough floorboards. The stocking was damp. I told myself it was only from the heat, that perhaps a jug had spilled earlier. But the air there was cool, almost cold. When I drew back my hand, my palm smelled faintly of iron. After that, I began to work faster each night, hoping to finish before the house settled into full darkness. But my hours stretched, and the merchant's wife always brought more things to mend. I could never refuse her. The sound grew bolder. Sometimes it came in the early evening, sometimes just before dawn. Once, I heard what might have been a sigh, long, deliberate, like someone trying to keep still but failing. I told no one. Not even when I began to dream of a figure sitting there, tall, folded into itself, face hidden in the crook of an arm. In the dream, I never saw it move. Yet each time I woke, I felt as though it had risen while I slept. One humid night, the candle burned low too quickly. The wick sputtered, and for the first time, the room was swallowed in full darkness before I was ready. I sat very still, listening to the tick of my own heartbeat. That was when I heard it, a faint tapping, as if fingers were brushing the floorboards. 4 taps, a pause, then 3 more. Closer than it had ever been. I whispered a prayer under my breath. But my voice sounded too loud, and I knew, somehow, that it had hurt me. I kept my gaze on the black window. And in that reflection, faint against the glass, I thought I saw a shadow where there should have been none, not just darker than the room, but deeper, as if there was an opening there, and the corner itself was no longer part of the wall. For a moment, I almost turned to face it. But something inside me, the same instinct that keeps a child from looking under the bed, told me that to see it clearly was to invite it nearer. The candle flared once more before dying completely. And in that thin light, I could swear I saw the hem of a robe, still damp, resting just an inch above the floor. From then on, I left the room before dark. I took my sewing to the kitchen, where the other servants laughed and clattered pans. They teased me for avoiding my quarters, but none of them offered to switch rooms. Sometimes, when I pass the door at night, I hear it again. The faint rasp of fabric shifting, patient and unhurried. It is waiting still, as if it knows that one night, by choice or by accident, I will step inside after sunset. And when I do, there will be no reason to leave again.